YOLO, amazing people of YouTube. So I want to talk to you guys in regards to life in general and us humans and how we treat life around us, whether it comes from farming, whether it comes from us expanding, like expansionism in terms of our cities, our ways of life, whatever, right? So when it comes to all types of life and farming and feeding ourselves and taking care of ourselves, we have certain laws, right? There's laws in regards to nature, in terms of animals, in terms of plants, how we plant, all these things, right? To simplify this, like us humans, we've put multiple laws forward. For example, like if you're gonna go catch fish, right? Like you're not allowed to catch certain fish within a certain time frame. This is like these fishes time to breed, right? And if you do go fishing, you're not allowed to catch any fish below a certain size, because to catch them below a certain size, you're catching a fish that's immature. It hasn't bred yet. It hasn't been able to reproduce. It hasn't laid eggs yet. Or you're catching fish that's at the cycle where they are reproducing, right? Where they are laying eggs. Whether you're hunting alligators, whether you're catching anything and everything, right? Like there's a time frame and a size. And what I am trying to put forward is this concept of we protect the lower bracket of life, right? But we have to take into consideration that life is like on a bell curve. So if you're going to protect the ones that are too small, too young, pregnant, not in the right time frame, we also have to take into consideration the other end of the spectrum, the ones that are too big, too old, right? Too massive, too this, too that. It's not just the too young and too old. We need to preserve both extremes of the spectrum. We can be talking about trees, right? Just like you shouldn't be cutting down trees in the forest that are way too young. They haven't grown and become official parts of the forest and whatnot. The same way, we need to preserve the trees that are hundreds, if not thousands of years old. Here's a tree that's, let's say, wider than a house, right? Like we live in California. We have California great oaks and California whatever. These massive trees. It's not just protecting the youngest and the future. It's also about protecting the oldest, the ones with the longest running genes, with the most capable, the ones that have lasted the longest, with the strongest genes. We have to preserve not only the bottom 10-15% of the spectrum, but the top 10-15 of the spectrum. When we talk about, like, when we hear about people that are like tree huggers, you know, there was a lady that lived on a tree for almost a year. She chained herself to a tree because it was almost like 2,000-3,000 years old, and she actually won that fight. They refused to cut the tree. She came down after like a year of living on this tree because she understood, man, this tree itself is ancient. We can't just cut the extremes. Okay, us humans, like, we need to eat. We need to progress, right? We need to do whatever, all the things we do as human beings, good, bad, and indifferent. But we need to preserve the extremes of the bell curve. And there's a lot of laws for the bottom of the bell curve, right? When we're talking about, it's too young. For example, like we're in California. We have sharks in California. So most sharks, people don't know. Like we have things like leopard sharks. Beautiful fucking sharks. I've caught leopard sharks in my life. Okay, leopard sharks. If you catch a 3 to 4 foot leopard shark, you're gonna think, wow, this big 3-4 foot shark, wow. Dude, you caught a baby. That's a shark that's only 3, 4, 5 years old. It's a baby. It hasn't even been able to reproduce. And they only reproduce like 2, 3, 4 sharks a year. It'll reproduce when it gets to 5, 6 feet. So people like us, like, oh man, I caught a shark my size. Holy shit, it's huge. No, it's a baby. It hasn't been able to reproduce. Right? Like, there's this disconnect with not knowing. But I know, right? So like, if you catch a 3-foot shark, dude, you just literally caught a baby. It's no different than catching a 6-inch shark. That shark hasn't been able to reproduce. And we're fucking offing them, slaughtering them, finning them, killing them, slaughtering them faster than they can reproduce. And all I'm saying is, just like we try to protect the youngest, we need to try and protect the oldest, the strongest, the biggest, the largest, the heaviest. Right? It's about passing on genes. And for us to get rid of the far end of the spectrum and just try and preserve the bottom end of the spectrum, we're doing a massive disservice to all life and all ecosystems on the planet. And I just wanted to get that out there, and I hope you people understand what I'm saying, and I hope it reaches the right people. And if you're a person that fishes, if you're a person that falls trees, if you're a person that breeds creatures or plants or whatever, I want you people to hear me, especially you people that make a difference by passing laws, that vote on certain things. I want you guys to understand the importance of both extremes of the spectrum. And I genuinely hope I reach the right people, man, by this simple video of me just cruising around the block and sharing this information. But it's coming from a place of importance, a place of understanding, and I hope you understand and this makes a difference and it reaches the right people. I genuinely hope it does. This is for our future. Just because it's plants, animals, and everything in between. This is our future. Our kids' future. Our grandchildren's future. You understand what I'm saying? We need to preserve both ends of the spectrum, not just the bottom. Otherwise, we're doing a massive disservice to us and life and nature as a whole. So if you have any comments, leave them down below. If you have any questions, leave them down below. If you have any corrections, comments, suggestions, whatever, leave them down below. You can tell me to go fuck myself. You can go fuck yourself. It doesn't matter. I hope it reached the right person. Solo, YOLO, BOLO. I hope you guys have a lovely day. And remember, life is on a spectrum. We need to protect the extremes of spectrums, because that's where the most unique and elegant of life forms exists, on the extremes. So yeah, so be that. Solo, YOLO, BOLO. Peace, people.